Hello, and welcome back to another Talking Freight episode, brought to you by Matrices, the transportation management company. We wrapped our parcel series briefly talking a bit in that series about inbound freight management. But starting today, we're kicking off our inbound logistics Talking Freight series, starting with one of the most vital aspects of effective inbound shipping, creating an inbound vendor routing guide. An inbound vendor routing guide is comparable to the beating heart of your operation. It manages inbound freight not unlike the incoming blood supply from the lungs and pumps it out to the remainder of your supply chain. Unlike the heart, however, your routing guide needs to be continually updated to reflect the most relevant changes in carrier preferences, stipulations for compliance violations, and detailed instructions on how to handle different shipping circumstances. Creating an effective inbound vendor routing guide is not without its share of challenges. If you do not do it fast enough, it becomes obsolete before printing, and if launched too quickly, you risk forgetting important details in its scope. So follow these steps to create a working, evolving guide that puts the power of control and visibility in your hands. So let's talk inbound vendor routing guide. Number 1, assess your current inbound vendor routing guide. If you do not have an existing guide, create a list of the challenges and issues that your organization has experienced regarding vendors, such as early or late shipments, high-cost carrier selection, or mislabeling. If you already have a previous version, review it for issues that were not addressed or were repeatedly missed by your vendors. Detail is key, so making annotations to your existing guide are essential to getting the next version ready immediately. Next, start where shipments begin. The first part of the guide should focus on the origination of shipments. For example, provide direction for each vendor that comes from a specific area. This will help prevent vendors from becoming lost later in the process. The third step, identify the limitations and provisions for each form of transportation for each area. Service capabilities, political or international trade restrictions, duration of transit, such as overnight, next day, 2-day or 3-day service, and transit mode should follow the origination. For each weakness or issue, provide instructions on how to avoid delays and ensure adherence to the appropriate carrier selection and freight classification. Next, note shipment volume and weight issues. Volume and weight should be classified appropriately into one of 4 groups, including the following: 1 to 150 pounds or small package, 151 to 5,000 pounds, 5,001 to 12,000 pounds, and 12,000 plus pounds. The guide must specify the preferred carriers and paths to shipment for each classification. This includes accounting for variances in freight classification and cost due to increasing use of dimensional or DIM pricing models. In addition, include provisions to modify shipment sizes to meet the most cost-effective choice. For example, freight consolidation of small packages and shipments weighing less than 5,000 pounds should be held until enough freight can be sent via less than full truckload, or any full truckload shipments. The fifth step, make the routing guide verifiable and use cross-checking matrices. This is among the most difficult aspects of creating an effective guide. It needs to have a failsafe to prevent vendors from selecting incorrect shipping methods and provide a source of cross-checking between shipment selection. A defined set of rules should serve as the checkpoint in this part of the document, ranging from marking and labeling to backorder processing. Within the rules, you should clearly specify costs or chargebacks associated with violations of the guide's provisions. Such rules provide an incentive for vendors to adhere, and at your discretion, consider implementing a reward system for vendors that meet reliable standards for metrics, such as on-time delivery and appropriate fill rates. Include a privacy clause that holds vendors liable for any unknowing or knowing act of distribution of your guide to your competitors. Number 6, distribute the routing guide. The faster your guide gets to vendors, the faster they can implement changes. However, the printing of paper guides is outdated. While a printed format might be the choice of some in your organization, remember that technology is only advancing. If you stick with a paper guide, you will be obsolete within the next few years. Consider using a web-based portal to provide access to your guide. This allows you to require vendors to sign in and acknowledge having read the document before using it. In addition, a web-based guide eliminates all printing and mailing costs associated with it, and creating non-disclosure agreements via a secure web browser are relatively easy in today's world. And the final step, number 7, distribute updates. Remember Security Patch Tuesday? Well, apply the idea to your inbound vendor routing guide. Make sure vendors know changes to the guide will be updated every X weeks, and include this notification in the initial NDA and distribution of the document. Web-based guides also have the benefit of enabling automated notification of major changes to the guide to vendors. In conclusion, and a bonus step, let the inbound vendor routing guide live within your TMS. The final step to creating your routing guide is not really about its creation. It involves where the guide is located. If you consider the applications of a transportation management system, or TMS, for your company, it is not a stretch to use the same system to manage all inbound freight. In fact, the TMS can follow all the rules and then some of those identified in your guide per your request, while providing automated data analyses and matrices within the system can effectively eliminate incorrect selection. Of course, it does help to have the document available for viewing by your vendors within the TMS and in another secure online location. This way your document can be a living, breathing creature that helps move your organization forward. That's it for this week's Talking Freight. Thanks for joining us for another episode. Hold up, before you go, make sure you click over here to subscribe to our channel, click over here to view all the inbound freight videos in our series, and click here above my head to go to Matrices.com.